Welcome to Starlight Sci-Fi, where the impossible becomes reality, and the future is just the beginning. In this episode, we explore a story of unexpected alliances and the hidden potential of humanity. This is No More Tricks Human. I'm your alien playmate for life. For centuries, humanity had gazed up at the night sky, dreaming of what lay beyond the stars. We imagined visiting alien worlds, meeting beings from distant galaxies, and perhaps even forging friendships with them. Yet nothing could have prepared us for what came next. It began as a strange anomaly. Astronomers across the globe detected a powerful energy signature in space, one that didn't match any known celestial body. It was too close to Earth for comfort, but not quite close enough to be a direct threat. At first, it was dismissed as a cosmic event, a passing comet or asteroid that had somehow emitted an unusual radiation pattern. But when the object's trajectory began to deviate from its predicted course, the world's top space agencies took notice. The strange object moved with an uncanny precision. No natural force seemed to be propelling it. It glided through space, slowly altering its path toward Earth. Governments around the world scrambled to take action. Satellites were deployed. Military forces were placed on high alert. A sense of unease rippled through the global population. As the object drew closer, it became clear that this was no ordinary visitor. Its shape was unlike anything ever seen, a sleek, symmetrical design that appeared to bend light around it. At first, it was barely visible, just a faint speck in the distance. But as it entered Earth's orbit, it grew larger, its intricate structure visible even with the naked eye. The object was alive with activity, glowing with mysterious purple veins that pulsed in rhythmic patterns. Panic spread across the planet. The media broadcasted endless reports, speculating whether this was an alien invasion or an accidental arrival. Some theorized that it was a spacecraft from another civilization, others suggested it was a probe sent to observe humanity. The military made preparations for the worst, readying weapons and deploying defense systems. No one knew what to expect, but everyone feared the unknown. The world waited in suspense as the ship continued its descent toward Earth. The skies above were filled with an ominous glow, and the air crackled with static. The ship didn't approach like a traditional aircraft. Instead, it moved with an almost ethereal grace, its descent slow and controlled, as if it had all the time in the universe. As the ship neared the planet's surface, an intense storm surged across the skies, its winds howling like a beast awakened. Thunder and lightning tore through the atmosphere. But despite the chaos outside, the ship remained undisturbed. It hovered gently over a vast desert landscape, untouched by the violent winds and the rumbling earth beneath it. Its presence was both magnificent and terrifying. The ship landed with a soft thud, barely disturbing the desert sand. The storm ceased as quickly as it had started. Silence fell. For the first time in hours, everything was still. The world held its breath, waiting for the next move. Then, the doors of the ship opened. A figure emerged, tall and imposing, its shape faintly shimmering in the light. The being was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. It had a fluid, almost alien form, with skin that shifted between hues of blue and silver, catching the light in strange and beautiful ways. Its eyes were deep and knowing, glowing with an intelligence that felt far beyond human understanding. It didn't walk in the way we did. Its movements were precise and deliberate, as though each step was taken with purpose. The alien stood there for a moment, observing its surroundings, its presence radiating an eerie calm. No weapons, no hostility. The world watched in stunned silence. The being raised one hand, as though acknowledging Earth's inhabitants, a universal gesture of peace or perhaps a challenge. There was no immediate threat, yet the message was clear. It was here, and it was waiting. At that moment, humanity's first encounter with an alien civilization was no longer a matter of if but of what now. The future of Earth and all its inhabitants rested in the unknown. As news of the alien arrival spread, the world watched with bated breath. It wasn't just governments and military forces that were preparing for the unknown, but the entire global population. The tension was palpable. People gathered in front of their televisions and computer screens, hanging on every detail, every word of news that filtered through. What was this alien being here for? Was it a visitor or an invader? Would this be the beginning of a new chapter for humanity or the end of civilization as we knew it? The first hours were filled with uncertainty. No one knew what to do. Military drones were dispatched to monitor the alien ship from a distance, keeping a safe perimeter. National leaders consulted with their top scientists, engineers, and intelligence agencies. Experts from every field were called to prepare for the first human contact with an extraterrestrial intelligence. But even with all the preparation, no one truly knew what they were dealing with. The alien had not yet spoken, nor had it made any moves that suggested aggression. Its behavior was entirely passive, even peaceful. It simply stood there, waiting for something. Then came the call. A special team of scientists, linguists, and military advisors would be sent to make contact with the alien. Among them was Dr. Eleanor Rivas, a leading expert in extraterrestrial biology and communications. Her reputation preceded her. She had worked on theoretical projects for years that speculated about first contact, but never in her wildest dreams had she imagined it would happen like this. The team traveled by helicopter to the desert site where the alien craft had landed. As they approached the ship, it was impossible not to feel the weight of history. It wasn't just a scientific mission, it was a moment that would be remembered for generations to come. Every step felt surreal. The ship loomed in front of them, its alien architecture both beautiful and intimidating, its surfaces smooth and undulating like liquid metal. The alien stood still at the center of the craft, unblinking, observing them as they approached. There was no rush, no sense of urgency, just a calm and patient presence that sent a chill through their spines. When the team stepped closer, the alien made no move to greet them, but it seemed to acknowledge their presence. There were no words, but somehow Dr. Rivas could sense that the alien was aware of their intentions. It raised a hand again, a universal gesture of peace. The human team mirrored the gesture instinctively, though none of them knew what it meant. A strange sensation began to fill the air. It wasn't the oppressive silence of the desert, but something else. A subtle hum, almost imperceptible, filled the atmosphere. It was like the air itself was vibrating, charged with an energy none of them could explain. Dr. Rivas, stepping forward with the translator device in her hand, tried to make the first move. She spoke slowly, clearly, with as much calm as she could muster. "We come in peace," she said. Her voice steadied despite the tension. "We wish to understand." The alien's gaze shifted, its glowing eyes narrowing ever so slightly. It tilted its head, as though considering her words carefully. And then, without any physical movement, the strange humming intensified, and Dr. Rivas felt something within her mind shift. It was as though the alien was speaking directly into her thoughts, not with words, but with raw impressions, images, and emotions. The message was not a simple translation, it was something more profound. The alien didn't need to speak in human language, it was using something deeper. The humans, despite their confusion, felt an undeniable sense of being understood. It was as though the alien was connecting to their very essence, reading their minds. It wasn't an invasion, nor was it a simple visit. The alien's presence suggested something far more complex in exchange, an interaction unlike anything humanity had experienced before. For the first time, Dr. Rivas realized something critical. This alien wasn't here to take anything from Earth. It wasn't studying them in a cold, detached way. It was trying to understand humanity itself. But why? What did it want, and what was it waiting for? The answer was as elusive as the alien itself. But one thing was certain: humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and nothing would ever be the same again. The world had expected many things after the alien's arrival. Some feared an invasion. Others anticipated a threat of unimaginable power. What no one could have predicted, however, was that the alien seemed far more interested in something unexpected. It wasn't here to wage war or conquer. Instead, it was fascinated by human games. The alien's attention seemed to gravitate toward Earth's various forms of entertainment, from digital video games to physical sports, even to the most mundane board games. It all began innocuously. After the initial encounters, scientists and military leaders realized that the aliens seemed particularly intrigued by the way humans engaged with these activities. They were puzzled when it started observing people play video games, carefully watching players from various nations compete in real-time tournaments broadcasted across the globe. The alien didn't interact directly, but its gaze lingered on the screens, almost as if it were studying the strategies and patterns. It wasn't long before the alien made its first move. One evening, during a high-profile international chess tournament, it suddenly appeared in the viewing room. There was no announcement, no warning, it just appeared, sitting quietly in front of the board, as though it had always been there. Without saying a word, it raised a hand, signaling for the players to continue. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the alien seemed to absorb the game's intricacies with an intensity that no human player could match. Every move it made was precise, calculated, and executed in a way that suggested a deep understanding of the game's complexity. At first, the humans watching assumed it was merely observing, but as the game progressed, something strange began to happen. The alien's presence seemed to influence the outcomes in subtle ways. It didn't use physical force or intimidation it didn't need to. Instead, it was as if the alien was manipulating the game on a deeper, intellectual level, guiding its participants into scenarios they could not have foreseen. The alien wasn't just playing to win, it was learning, adapting, and experimenting. And the more it engaged, the more the humans noticed its behavior becoming increasingly unpredictable. It seemed to be mimicking the very essence of human competition, absorbing the nuances of each game. The alien had an uncanny ability to foresee strategies several moves ahead, outsmarting the players in ways they never anticipated. However, it never sought total victory. In fact, it made intentional missteps, small blunders that were completely out of character for its otherwise flawless calculations. The alien was not playing to conquer, it was playing to understand. This strange behavior piqued the curiosity of Earth's best minds. Why would an advanced being capable of unimaginable feats bother with something so simple? Was this some kind of experiment, a test to gauge humanity's reaction? Or was it something else entirely, an attempt to connect with humanity on a level that didn't involve domination or manipulation?
As the alien's fascination with games grew, it began to extend its interests to other forms of competition. Sports, from basketball to football to even something as simple as rock, paper, scissors, became arenas for the alien to test its limits. It wasn't content to watch, it wanted to participate, to experience the thrill of human play firsthand. The alien's first attempt at football was nothing short of extraordinary. It moved with an agility that defied logic, its speed and reflexes almost superhuman. But there was something odd about its gameplay. It never aimed to score the winning point, instead making bizarre moves that caused confusion among the players. The alien would throw the ball in the wrong direction, only to have it land precisely where it was needed, creating opportunities for others to take the spotlight. It was as though it had mastered the game, but chose to engage with it in ways that humans would never predict. And then there was the most baffling part, the alien's genuine enjoyment. While it didn't exhibit traditional human emotions like excitement or joy in the conventional sense, there was a subtle shift in its behavior when it was engaged in these activities. The alien seemed to be fascinated by the unpredictability of humanity, by how people could find pleasure, camaraderie, and even conflict in something as simple as a game. But as the days passed, it became clear that this wasn't just about fun or fascination. There was something deeper at play. Each game, each interaction with humans, was not just an experiment, it was a search for understanding. The alien was trying to grasp what made humanity tick, what drove people to compete, to win, to lose, and to keep playing despite it all. The alien wasn't just learning how to win, it was learning how to live among us. It was trying to understand what made us human. And as it did, it began to change. It wasn't simply a spectator anymore. The alien was becoming, in some strange way, a participant in our world. But the question remained, what did it want from us? And what, exactly, was it willing to give in return? As days turned into weeks, the alien's behavior became increasingly perplexing. It had thoroughly immersed itself in humanity's games, from chess to football, absorbing every detail, and yet, it seemed to be playing for something beyond simple amusement. While its abilities were unmatched, there was a deeper sense of curiosity driving it, something more than just observation. What could the alien's actions mean? Was this an elaborate experiment, a way to test the limits of human strategy and adaptability? Or was there an even greater purpose behind its strange behavior? One day, the alien made its first significant move. It made a public appearance at a global summit where the world's most influential leaders had gathered to discuss the growing mystery surrounding the extraterrestrial visitor. The alien didn't speak. It didn't need to. Instead, it raised its hand once again this time to offer a challenge. A game, but not just any game. This was a game unlike anything humanity had ever seen, one that was framed in a way that suggested everything was at stake. The alien's message, transmitted through the mysterious telepathic connection it had established, was clear. If humanity accepts, we will play a game for the future of your species. The implications were staggering. Governments worldwide were thrown into disarray. What kind of game could this be? The alien had already proven its intellect in every game it edged in, and it seemed to learn more with each passing day. The stakes were clear. This would not be a simple game of chess or soccer. This was something far more important, something that could determine the fate of humanity. The game was framed as a battle of wits, but the rules were vague. The alien seemed to be offering a test of intelligence, of strategy, and of will. Humanity would be tasked with a challenge that no one had ever faced before. A game that spanned across different fields: logic, technology, creativity, and even philosophy. The alien hinted that the objective was not to defeat it outright, but to prove humanity's capacity for growth, adaptation, and cooperation. It wasn't about winning in the traditional sense. It was about proving that humanity could rise to the challenge, that humans could think beyond themselves and collaborate in a way they never had before. The twist, however, was that the alien wasn't merely offering a chance to showcase humanity's abilities, it was also offering a chance to learn. Should humanity accept and win, the alien would share its vast knowledge of the universe, unlocking insights into advanced technologies, biology, and even the very fabric of existence. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for humans to step into the future, to leap beyond the limitations of their own understanding and into the cosmos. But there was a catch. If humanity lost, the consequences would be dire. The alien's creators who had sent it here had programmed its ship with a hidden directive. In the event of failure, the alien would activate a failsafe. It would erase all memories of the game from its own mind and reprogram itself as a tool for its creators. Its intelligence would be turned against humanity, shaping Earth into a new world, one of controlled, engineered existence, devoid of the unpredictability that had so fascinated the alien. The offer was too great to ignore, but it was also a terrifying gamble. Humanity would have to trust in its own ability to adapt, to learn, and to work together like never before. It wasn't just a game, it was a test of what humanity could become, and the future of Earth rested on the edge of this unknown challenge. As the alien left the summit, the world was left in stunned silence. The question now wasn't whether humanity would accept the challenge, it was whether humanity could rise to the occasion and confront the unknown in ways it never had before. The future was no longer in the hands of any single leader or nation. It was in the hands of every human on Earth, and the countdown had already begun. In the aftermath of the alien's challenge, a wave of uncertainty rippled across the globe. No one had ever imagined that humanity's first contact with an extraterrestrial intelligence would be framed as a game. The stakes were enormous, and the implications were mind-boggling. It was no longer a question of whether the alien was a threat. It was a question of whether humanity was ready for the challenge it had laid out. World leaders, scientists, and thinkers from every corner of the Earth quickly realized that this was a defining moment. It wasn't just a game in the conventional sense, it was a test of humanity's potential, a challenge to prove that Earth could hold its own in the grand cosmic stage. This was more than just strategy and intellect. It was a trial of cooperation, creativity, and adaptability, and humanity was about to face its greatest test. The world came together in a way never seen before. Governments, once at odds, set aside their differences and unified under the banner of survival. Teams of scientists, engineers, philosophers, and even artists began to form. The global effort was organized into various departments, each tasked with a specific domain of knowledge. The brightest minds in every field were called upon, with experts in everything from mathematics to ethics joining forces in a race against time to prepare for the game. The alien had made it clear that this would not be a simple battle of brute strength or numbers. It was a game of minds. A game that would span disciplines, testing human ingenuity and the capacity to think beyond traditional boundaries. Each country contributed its most brilliant thinkers, pooling resources and sharing knowledge in unprecedented ways. Nations that had long been rivals now stood side by side, their differences dwarfed by the magnitude of what was at stake. As the preparations continued, something remarkable began to happen. Humanity, often divided by borders, ideologies, and competition, began to unite in a way that had once seemed impossible. The collective spirit of cooperation grew stronger with each passing day. People from all walks of life, from the smallest villages to the largest cities, were united by a single purpose: to win this game, not just for survival, but for the chance to reach beyond the stars. The alien had left no doubt that the game would test more than just intellect. It would challenge humanity's ability to think as a collective. A single individual could not win this game. Humanity would need to combine its knowledge, skills, and creativity in ways never before imagined. The alien's previous actions, its interest in games and strategy, were beginning to make sense. It wasn't testing just one mind. It was testing the collective strength of humanity, how well humans could think, adapt, and work together. But as the preparation continued, the pressure mounted. The weight of the unknown was heavy. No one knew the exact nature of the game, only that it would test the very limits of human potential. In secret, some leaders began to question whether they were ready for what was to come. What if they failed? What if they weren't enough? The alien had made it clear that failure would come with devastating consequences. If humanity lost, it wouldn't be a simple loss, it would be a reshaping of the world, a future designed by an intelligence far beyond anything Earth had ever known, a future where humanity would no longer be the masters of their own fate, but mere pawns in a game controlled by alien minds. And so humanity's greatest minds worked tirelessly, often in the dead of night, struggling to solve the puzzles they didn't yet know existed. The clock was ticking. The countdown to the game's start had already begun, and every moment spent in preparation was critical. But as the time dwindled, a question hung in the air: could humanity, with all its flaws and strengths, rise to the challenge? Or would this be the moment when Earth learned just how far it had yet to go? The game was coming, and humanity had better be ready. The day had arrived. The aliens' challenge was no longer a distant thought. It was now a reality, and the game was set to begin. The entire world held its breath, collectively waiting for the first move. The air was thick with anticipation, and the stakes could not have been higher. The vast preparations of the past weeks were now put to the ultimate test. Humanity had come together as never before, pooling its collective intellect, creativity, and willpower in the hope of proving that Earth was not just a speck in the cosmos, but a force to be reckoned with. The alien stood at the center of a global broadcast, its presence as unnerving as it was awe-inspiring. Its sleek, shimmering form was as enigmatic as ever. There was no fanfare, no dramatic speech. It had made its challenge clear. The game would begin, and humanity's readiness would be tested. It was an odd feeling, knowing that every move made, every decision taken, could impact the future of the species. There was no going back now. The alien, having remained silent until this point, made the first move. The game it had designed was no simple contest of skill or knowledge. It was a complex, multifaceted challenge, a combination of science, philosophy, art, and logic. In this game, humanity would have to utilize everything it had learned and everything it would need to discover. The first test was a puzzle unlike anything anyone had seen before. A massive digital construct appeared on screens around the globe, a grid of shifting patterns, interwoven symbols, and codes that seemed to defy logic. The rules were unclear, but there was no mistaking the urgency. The challenge wasn't just a matter of solving a puzzle. It was about understanding the logic behind it, adapting in real time, and thinking in ways that were not confined to human conventions. The alien had made sure the challenge would stretch the very limits of human understanding. Across the world, teams of scientists, mathematicians, and engineers gathered around their terminals, poring over the symbols, the codes, the shifting patterns. What made this challenge so difficult was not just the complexity of the puzzle. It was the fact that it seemed to change and adapt as humans interacted with it. Every time they thought they had deciphered one element, another layer would appear, more intricate, and puzzling than the last. It was as if the game itself was alive, learning and evolving with every decision humanity made. But there was no time to be defeated. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for weeks, and now it was up to them to prove their worth. The global collaboration was already in motion. The best minds in the world, once spread out in isolated corners of the earth, now communicated across borders in a fluid exchange of ideas and strategies. No one person could solve this alone. It would require the best of humanity working together, pooling their knowledge, ideas, and skills to decode the aliens' challenge. As hours turned into days, humanity made progress, but the game had only just begun. The aliens' first move was both a test and an invitation, a challenge to humanity's intellect and adaptability. It wasn't about solving the puzzle immediately, it was about proving that Earth's people could rise to the occasion, that they could overcome the aliens' obstacles not just with intelligence but with resilience and unity. With every small victory came a new layer of mystery, a new question to answer. As the first puzzle began to yield to humanity's efforts, it became clear that this was only the beginning. The aliens' game was far from over, and each step forward would lead to even greater challenges. But one thing was certain: humanity had proven that it was willing to fight for its future, and the game was only going to get harder from here. As the days wore on, the aliens' game grew ever more complex. With each puzzle solved, humanity was confronted with new, more perplexing challenges. The first test had been a mere appetizer for what lay ahead: layers of logic, philosophy, technology, and even moral dilemmas that stretched the human mind to its breaking point. Yet, as daunting as it all seemed, the collective effort of humanity was undeniable. People from all walks of life, once divided by their differences, now worked in unison, putting aside personal and national boundaries for the common goal of survival. With every challenge, the stakes became higher, and the pressure more intense. Teams of experts and ordinary citizens alike had cracked some of the aliens' most complex riddles, and humanity's progress had surprised even the alien itself. As the game progressed, it became clear that the aliens' original assumptions were being tested. It had underestimated the resourcefulness and resilience of humanity. But it also knew that the final challenge would be the true test, the one that would decide whether humanity could truly prove itself worthy aliens' knowledge and power. Then, after weeks of intense mental and physical strain, the alien presented the final challenge. It wasn't a puzzle or a game in the traditional sense. It was a question, a moral dilemma that would test humanity's very soul. The alien's telepathic message was clear: you must choose the future you wish to create, and you must do so together. Your decision will shape the course of your species. If you are worthy, you will be given the knowledge to transcend your limitations and join the greater universe. If not, you will be left to your own devices, a species left behind in the dust of time. The question was deceptively simple, but its implications were vast. What is the true purpose of humanity? The world was thrown into chaos. Governments, religious leaders, philosophers, and ordinary citizens debated the meaning of the question. What was humanity's purpose? Was it to survive, to thrive, to explore the stars? Was it to embrace the best of human potential? Or was there something more? The discussions were impassioned, filled with uncertainty, but there was no consensus. For every person who believed humanity's purpose was to build a utopia, there was another who thought it was to strive for the betterment of every individual. The answers were as varied as humanity itself. And then the alien made its final move. A final cryptic message appeared across every screen on Earth. Choose now, human. Choose your future. Choose whether you will stand alone or take the next step into the cosmos. The pressure of the moment was unbearable. It wasn't a game of intellect anymore. It was a test of the heart, a trial of humanity's capacity to choose its destiny. The world seemed to pause, holding its breath as each person and nation tried to reconcile their answers with the overwhelming weight of the question. Finally, after much deliberation and introspection, the world came to a decision, a unified response. It was not a single answer, but a consensus. Humanity's purpose was to seek knowledge, to explore, to learn, and to grow together. The world, in its collective wisdom, chose the path of unity, cooperation, and advancement. The alien's response was immediate, its voice resonating in every human mind. Your answer is accepted. Humanity has proven itself worthy. The knowledge is yours. In that moment, humanity crossed a threshold. It was no longer confined to the limits of its world, its species, or its imagination. The alien, recognizing humanity's potential, opened the door to unimaginable knowledge, unlocking the secrets of the universe, and offering the means for humanity to join the greater cosmos. But with this new power came an unspoken truth. The journey ahead would require even more of humanity. It was just the beginning of an endless road. As the alien departed, leaving humanity to chart its own course in the stars, the world stood at the edge of an exciting, uncertain future. The game was over, but the real adventure had only just begun. Thank you for watching. What happens when the unexpected challenges our limits? When we face the unknown, do we adapt or falter? The alien is gone, but humanity's story is just beginning. Keep your eyes on the stars, because the next chapter of our story may just be out there.